This Daf Yom Yerushalmi Challah. And as we always are at the beginning of Masechta, we start both the article and the Vilna in the same place. On Daf Aleph Hamad Aleph. Okay, so at the top, in the Mishnah. Five species of Chayim Challah. Chitim, Sorim, wheat, barley, kusmin, shibola, shual, shifon, spelt, oats, and rye. I'm not sure about the last week, which precisely, but for our purposes it doesn't matter. They're all Chayim Challah. And starting them saying they combine together to make up the Shir Challah. Pesach, and they may not be eaten as new grain before Pesach and the time when you bring the Korban Omer. And with exceptions, you can't harvest them before the Omer. If they took root before the Korban Omer, it's brought to Omer Matira, and then the Omer permits them. But if not a suin, Ad Shilva Omer Haba, they're forbidden until the following Korban Omer is brought the following year. It says more. The 5 species of Chayim Challah. When you eat from the bread of the earth, Tarim U'Truma Hashem should lift up a offering to Truma to Hashem, and this Truma is specifically talking about Challah. You cause Challah. Do I say anything from which you can make a flour is Chayim Challah? Tamalam mi lechem, from the bread, lo kol lechem, not all bread. Im mi lechem v'lo kol lechem. Well, if it's from the bread and not all bread, maybe it's only the primary species in which you make bread, which are wheat and barley, which are mentioned in the pasuk. It's chito sorah v'gefen teina b'rimon, right? The meaning shishtabku memeretz Yisrael. How do you know that any type of grain? Kusmin shivol shivol v'shifon, the spelled oats and rye minayin. How do we know that's chayv? Tamuloma reishis arisosechem. Riba, the parentheses here, riba hakol, are erased. Actually, he brings on the label Yerushalmi, and it's necessarily erased by the meiri. So that's shis arisosechem. Anything which can be made into this dough, which is a type of chitin and sorim, because the rye, spelt, and oats are derivatives of the chitin and sorim. They are all chayav in they're all chayav in challah. Okay, Rabbi Yossi, is there a header in the article? No. Rabbi Yossi b'shem Rabbi Shimon. Yosef Shimon said, Tani Rabbi Shmuel ben, it should be Tani Shmuel Cain instead of Ben. That's from the Rashi, the Rav and the Gra. Tani Shmuel Cain. We also learn Rabbi Shmuel. They learn from Rishi Sarisosechem Riba. Rabbi Yoina, take out Rabbi Zira. Rabbi Yoina, Rishem Lakish, and Rishem Rabbi Shmuel. I learned that from a different pasuk. What is that pasuk? Amrai Mana said, I went to Kesarin. Shameis Rabbi Achvar Bar Zira. I mean this according to the Girsa of the Rashi, which is Leib Yerushalayim's Girsa. Isaac Yitzhak Shameis Rabbi Achvar Bar Zira Amar Abba Hava Omer. I heard that Rabbi Yoina, my father, who we just called named Reish Lakish, said in the name Reish Lakish I'm sorry, we just said Rabbi Yoina said the name Reish Lakish. Then he says when he went to Kesar, he heard the Rabbi Achvar Zira said Abba, not Ve'abba, Abba Amar Le B'Shem Reish Lakish. Abba said the name Rabbi Shmuel himself. No, it's not the name Reish Lakish. Or has to clarify who's the one who's about to give us a different drasha named Rabbi Shmuel. Where Omer is superfluous here, really. Nemar lechem Pesach. It could be Amalei B'Shem, Rabbi Shmuel, or Rabbi Shmuel Amalei B'Shem, maybe B'Shem himself, Rabbi Shmuel Omer. Anyway, whatever it is. Ne'emar lechem Pesach, ne'emar lechem b'challah. It says lechem by Pesach, it says lechem by challah. My lechem shel Pesach, davar shebedei matzah chametz. Lechem is stated by Pesach is 80, which comes from the matzah chametz, which means it becomes leavened. It has a process which makes it leavened. Afkol lechem shel b'challah, so to lechem which stated by challah, davar shebedei matzah chametz, 80, which can be observed as matzah, or come to chametz. Uvot, when they check, only 5 species which actually ferment in this way, that break down and become leaven, and they are the 5 enumerated in our Mishnah. They don't become matzah, they don't rise the same way. The enzymes are not broken down when they come into contact with water the same way. Many years ago when I had it was Rosh Hashanah in Chicago, the Flummy Noble Night Color. One of our, one of my chaverim there, Reb Elisha Naaman, who I have not seen in many years, heard of in many years, came and gave a chabura based on the science of how fermentation works differently in the 5 grains than any other type of species, and how it breaks down the enzymes that causes the bread to rise, which does not occur in the any other species, including rice, etc., etc. The rice, corn, or whatever else people make bread of, those are not, they don't break down the same way. Those are called in Hebrew a process of sirachon, which literally means become rancid, but it's obviously a different type of fermentation. Tani, Amar Rabbi Yochanan, maybe I'm not home from the different backdrop from Detroit, so maybe when I get home I'll be able to look up what he told us that time. I don't recall offhand. Tani Rabbi Yochanan, Karmis Chayavis B'Challah. So there are different. There are obviously those who disagree, including this one. It says Karmis, and in the Rashi says Orez B'Karmis. So they have various interpretations of what exactly Karmis is. Some say something called Ketzach, or some sort of black seeds. Anyway, he holds that they are Chayim B'Challah. Rabbi Yochanan Amar, Ba'idei Hu Matzah Chametz. He says whatever process they undergo, it's matzah and chametz. Rabbi ain't nobody there matzah chametz. So no, it does not become matzah and chametz. Leave the kua. So let them check. Let's run a scientific experiment and find out. I think this will be because in Chilukim. No, they're arguing about how the experiment came out. Yerushalmi said they checked it out, and whatever process they underwent, that was considered matzah and chametz. Rabbi say but they checked out the it didn't. So that's the issue exactly. What the results of the experiments were. How to, I guess, not perhaps not what they were, but how to interpret them. Talmud learned over there tapuach, a apple of truma, sheritzko v'nasa toch isa, which you sliced up and put into a dough, v'chimtzah, cause it to ferment. Harei zu asura. So this dough is also to non-kohanim because it fermented on account of the truma. Tan Rabbi Yossi and Mutter. Rabbi Yossi in the Tosefta argues in the Mishnah. Mishnah's in Trumas Perek Mishnah Aleph. The Brisa in Tosefta Trumas Perek Brisa Ches. He argues and holds that the dough is considered mutter for non-kohanim because it's made peros, apples, and it's not considered to be true fermentation by the apple. And therefore, it's omer mutter. Said, that is if where the fermentation occurred when you as a result of the apple juices. But if you put a whole apple into the dough and as a result it fermented, everybody gets mutter, it's not considered to have a status of truma. Rabbi Yossi follows his line of reason, which is known to us. To Omar, he said, Tamon, he said over there, in Shabbos, Perek Gimel, Mishnah Gimel, the Ein Tavshilo Tavshubara, that if you put an egg next to a hot water urn, or you put it into hot towels on Shabbos, it's not going to be considered be cooked. Therefore, it's not like Mevash on Shabbos. So he holds that something which is cooked with toldos eish and not with fire itself is not considered to be actual bishul. So he says, he says that fermentation through an apple is not considered to be true fermentation. It's very fascinating Yerushalmi type linkage. And just like Yerushalmi Challah argue by Trumas if it's either chametz gomer or not, so too they would argue by so too Rabbi Yochanan and Rabbanan argue by orez and karmis if it's to be chimutz or not. So the extended questions, these we have here extended definitions. So just like it says over there, ain't tavshil bar by the egg. So it says a chimutz bar over here by the apple. And similarly, just like we say that the only types of things which actually come to chimutz are the 5 species. So too, ein lecha megarin kulam. Megarer means that it's considered to, if you mix in rice together with the grain, that the rice is considered also to be a form of chametz because it was mixed in with the grain. El emachitim bavad, only with wheat. Evidently, they ran an experiment to this, and only wheat and barley actually are megarer. Anything else, for some reason, I don't know why, but it's not megarer. It's not similar. It's not chimutz or chimutz bar. Okay, so that's not considered to. That won't make the rice chametz in terms of being chayav in challah. Rabbi Yehuda b'shem Mishum lo said lo shana ela osa isa min achitim min orez bein nikra el achitim milvad. He says, first of all, only chitim is gorer, and also it's only gorer rice, nothing else. So there's a lot of greira. But the first opinion was chitim is only gorer, and not just rice. You also include ketzach, whatever else we said. The ketzach was the other thing. What was it called? Karmis. Okay, but he says the other opinion here, Shimon says no, it's only rice and it's only with chitim. Okay, this brings us to the top of Beis Amud Aleph. I did quickly look up a brief explanation of that difference between the leavening and the other forms of fermentation. I found Rabbi David Brovsky brings down from the original article, which is in Tchumin, Volume 1, an article by Dr. Munk. Describes the chemical difference between the process of chimutz, become chametz, and sircha. He explains, Dr. Munk explains that when wheat flour, as also the other types of grain, contain an enzyme called beta amylase, which breaks down the starch into glucose, sugar. The glucose then converted to alcohol. When the alcohol evaporates, producing a pleasant smell, the dough rises. Rice, however, lacks the beta amylase. So other enzymes contained in rice generate a slow process of fermentation. Another enzyme causes the dough to decay before the process is completed. As why they say that, this is why they explain that rice does not ferment, but rather decays. So the presence of the beta amylase is what causes the chimutz to occur. Based on a little bit of research that has an extremely oversimplified explanation, but for our purposes, I think that will do. And we'll stop here for today.